way back in the ye old days of 1912, there was 8 murders, with 6 of them being children.
Oh wow.
We're talking about the Villisca Axe Murder House. Villisca Axe Murder House. I told you I was going to screw up that name.
Hey,
I
yeah, same.
Anyway, where am I at here?
Murders, 6 children.
Murder. 6 of them being children. Nobody was ever caught for it. There was a few confessions. It was absolutely brutal murder because the murderer used an axe. He used the blunt end on all of them, as far as I can tell, and the sharp edge only on the father. See, what happened was they all went to church one one night, and they had a couple of friends stay over. 4 of the children belonged to the parents. 2 of them stayed over. Bad night stay over, I'll tell you that much. And in the middle of the night, somebody either crept in or maybe it was hidden in the attic. Who knows? Nobody knows, of course. Once again, the killer was never caught. And I am screwing up everything over here. And yeah, we know that they started with the parents.
Yeah.
And then made their way into a room that held the 4 children.
4 of the 6, yep. The
Yep.
4 that they had.
And then finally finished off with the other 2.
Yep.
Now my question is, how in the hell? Like, okay, like the two parents, you might get away with murder. But when you're bludgeoning somebody to death with an axe and lifting it above your head so high that it's catching the ceiling, how are you not waking up 3 other kids when you're bludgeoning one? I don't.
Okay. I actually have a lot of thoughts on this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, you have to consider the time period is 1912. It was, Iowa. I actually found out one of the things I saw a lot of videos, but when I actually got into reading, they're like, "This is 1912 Iowa. There's no power." That's not actually true. There was power,
Yep.
but the power to streetlights was turned off because the city and the power company were arguing about streetlights.
Still, even after over 100 years, still problems with the power company.
Yeah. But actually, a couple things like with the gouges in the ceiling there from the axe. I guess if you actually look at the ceiling, it was pretty low, and so it was like a full swing axe. It was actually from that they hypothesized that the killer is actually a fairly short man because he would have reached up both hands, bam, bam, and so
Okay.
the handle's like 2 or 3 feet itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Well,
you're talking.
they also said that because of the way that it was striking, that he was also left-handed. So we're looking for a short left-handed person.
Yeah, and that in my reading, I came up with a few of those.
We're gonna solve this murder right here, okay? After over 100 years, me and you, we're doing it right here.
Yeah, a lot of people have tried. It's been a lot of people have tried. It's pretty kind of crazy. Okay, there's one thing you neglected that I feel is incredibly important to this. There was a slab of bacon found next to 2 of the girls.
Well, wasn't it found next to the axe? Like the axe looked like he tried to wipe off the axe, and then there was a 5-pound slab of bacon next to the axe. Wasn't that how it was?
It was yes and no, because yes, the axe was found near the bacon, but because the axe was in the room with the last 2 victims, which was the 2 visiting girls.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but the guy cut off a slab of bacon, this is pre-sliced bacon days, like a 2 or 4 pound slab of bacon, wrapped it in a sack, and then tied it together, and then left it.
Well, there's a lot of bizarre stuff that happened. Like, for one, he covered up all the windows.
Yes.
Obviously, it's something he'd have to do after he killed everybody. Why wouldn't he just leave?
I have a good theory on that too, and it's one that seems a lot of people do. He spent a lot of time there after killing.
Mm-hmm. Like there was a prepared. He had enough time to make a meal that he never touched.
I've heard not touched or not finished is either way he was interrupted before it could be eaten to completion.
So you figure he was still there at what time was it? Like 8 a.m. when the neighbor came over, knocked on the door, let the chickens out, called the brother. Brother came in with the skeleton key.
From what I read, like the neighbor, she woke up at like 6:30, something like that. Made notice of the animals and stuff there.
Hey, Noko.
Hey, Noko.
Why don't you pop into frame?
yeah, come on. But yeah, noticed like that the animals and stuff were taken care of. Let the chickens out. I've heard a couple conflicting reports. One of them is she noticed the horses, and the other one is she noticed the chickens. I saw a chicken a lot more than horses, but either way, they noticed the animals weren't taken care of. And then eventually she got nervous and then went into town and got the brother-in-law.
She went in town? Because I keep on hearing that she called, so.
That's a good question. It's 1912. Did she have a phone in her home?
That's what I was wondering too, because under the two of them that I listened to there, it was she called the brother.
Yeah. Either way, she got the brother-in-law. The brother-in-law had a key to the house because that's something else we forgot. The house was locked.
Which is very unusual for the time.
Small town. And no, I mean, yes and no, but the point is, it was locked, and there are people in the house. Like they probably, if somebody's awake, the house would probably be unlocked.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was another little rabbit hole to jump down. So anyways, they get the brother-in-law. He comes, unlocks, finds the first bodies. A bunch of literature said he made a very, very famous statement. I forget what it was. Like some evil's been done here or something like today. He said something that kind of went viral in the newspapers, which were all.
He went viral in 1912. That's impressive.
Yes and no. I mean, you figure there was no internet, no TV, no radio. Yeah. All people had to do was read a newspaper twice a day.
Fair enough. But of course, the town never had any. They had one cop, which is actually impressive because my town has 0. Same with the town next or the town that way, and don't rob me.
But they did not have anybody that could collect fingerprints.
Yeah, they were still 12 years off from actual forensics.
More real forensics, more than 12 years. Fingerprints in the United States, still 10 or 12 years. I think.
And then, of course, it didn't help that nosy neighbors were walking in and out of the frickin' crime scene, completely muddling it up. And I read in one article, I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that a couple of people made off with a piece of the father's skull as a keepsake.
Yeah, I'd heard that too. I later read a book there that honestly, in my opinion, had the most compelling evidence that didn't mention the thing at all, and actually kind of threw some shade on the idea that the whole town ran through the house. My understanding is the reporting wasn't very good, and the police did what they could that first day. This is we're talking 111 years ago.
Yeah.
They collected what evidence they could that first day, and then over the next couple days there was anywhere from minimum of 20 people to 100 people that walked through the house.
Well, exactly, and that kind of screws up a crime scene just a little bit.
Yeah, it does, but also at that point they probably collected everything they could have from the crime scene.
Yeah, people it was it was a free for all. It was unreal how they had no control over the situation.
Yeah, but again, we're over 100 years ago. What they collected, what the police collected that first day, is probably all they could have collected. That would have been of use. Yeah.
I'd like to know what happened to the bacon. Somebody make off with that 5 pounds of bacon back then? That's.
I don't think I'd want to touch that bacon after what was probably done with it. The idea was it was used as a masturbatory aid.
Uh, we got dark. We're talking about axe murder, children, and you just took it to a dark place.
but that's what that's what a lot of them say. It's not something we want to acknowledge, but yeah.
Well, I wish you didn't acknowledge it. I think you ruined bacon for me.
As opposed to axe murders, which is still not ruined.
Oh, that's fine. No, it's not. It's not fine, but
yeah, no, like that's the prevailing theory is that he chopped it off and used it. But that said, yeah, he also cleaned off the axe.
Yeah, he tried to clean off the axe. There's the basin full of water that he used to clean himself up.
Yeah, and
but
all this kind of points to a pretty sophisticated murderer.
Well, that's just it. If you're going to be able to creep into a house full of 8 people and bludgeon them to death with an axe, you see, this is the part where it gets a little interesting because, like, how?
Yeah, no, and that's kind of where I came at this angle from. Is like after I found out what the basic was, I'm like, okay. I had a second thought as soon as I like okay, axe murder, read the basics. Like, you know what? I feel like there was a lot of axe murders back at that time period.
Yep, the New Orleans axe murder.
The the Louisiana Axeman, Lizzie Borden stuff.
Lizzie Borden, yep.
And actually,
yeah, that's the problem. We just don't see any axe murders anymore. They're just like bang bang. You know, where's the the panache?
Actually, it brought up another good point. Like, okay, so there's got to be like there's a lot of axe murderers at the time, which actually makes sense when you look at it. Because I mean, at that point in time, everybody in the U.S. pretty much all heated their houses with wood.
Yeah.
What do you need for wood? You need an axe, which made it a very easily accessible murder weapon.
Cousin Lizzie. That's worrisome.
Yeah. But,
we're not talking about Lizzie Borden, though. We're not talking about. We might talk about them someday.
No, yeah. Okay.
But like,
after I had thought about how many axe murders there were at the time, I got looking into it, and actually, the prevailing theory now is that this Villisca, the Villisca murders were actually part. Yeah, the Villisca murders were actually part of a serial murderer that went around.
Yeah, a lot of people actually believe that this was like one of the first serial killers in America. So.
Yeah, like when actually there's a ridiculous amount of evidence to suggest it. Like there's like a wonderful book I enjoyed reading. It was The Man from the Train by Bill James and his daughter Rachel McCarthy James. And it postulates that between like 98 and like 1912 or so, there was a serial killer that roamed around the country murdering people with axes, and they had a 33-point presentation in their book as to the similarities in which they considered necessary to link different things. And of those, there's I think it was 14 different incidents with 57 dead in just those that had pretty much all those same markers. And then if you include ones that are possible and probable matches, the death toll goes up to over 100 people.
Well, I mean, it's always possible. It seems like a lot of work for one person, but it's always extremely possible. That's at least some of them are linked.
Well, he was doing it for over 14 years,
and
the things that would be in common is killing them with the blunt end of the axe. That was a big thing in there. Another one was.
Well, that was something that really bothered me, though. So he used the blunt end of the axe on everybody else, and then went back and chopped the father. You know, like used the blade. Like, why just?
You know, my thought there is that um, people just weren't trained to know what they're looking at back then. It's possible that he just went back and beat the crap out of father to a point where there was so much damage it looked like it had to have been like chopped, like as
Well,
opposed to just smashed. Like I,
yeah.
but at the same time, the father was probably the first one to go, so maybe he
Mhm.
made a mistake and swung at him the first time with the sharp end. I don't know, but
Well, they
the
because of the lack of blood from the actual cuts, they know that he went back with the blade after everything started
mm,
coagulating. Blah, 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 blah. I can't talk today.
so yeah, it sounds like the father probably pissed off the murderer.
Well, we do know that he was a businessman, but we also know that he was very well liked. That was,
Yes, yes, he
but
was well liked.
you don't get into
Yeah.
business without making enemies, you know.
Well, he is also like he literally the business he was in, he was literally in the business that his former boss was in. He kind of like
Mhm.
mentored under his former boss for a few years. I think it was tractors.
Yeah,
Yeah,
implements.
tractors. Yeah, farm implements, John Deere farm implements and stuff. He mentored under this guy for I don't know 10 or 15 years, and then split off and made his own business,
Mhm.
which immediately brought this other man into question. Oh, which was
Well,
he?
he was cleared.
Yes, yes, he was, but not without a
Um,
lot of fighting about it.
yeah, there wasn't much of a fuss. Of course, there was the creepy. What was it, pastor or
Yeah,
priest? Either way,
Reverend George Kelly.
Reverend. They're all the same.
Yeah, he was an interesting little dive too, because he wasn't actually a preacher. He was kind of an apprenticed preacher. He was basically he was traveling around the country, staying with different in different churches with the preacher for a few days and studying, and then would go on and move on elsewhere.
Well, of course, he was accused of like peeping in people's windows, and of course,
Oh yeah,
pedophilia. Naturally, where
yes,
there's
yes.
smoke.
He that was an interesting read. Nobody had anything good to say about him. Like
Hmm.
also and he wrote such a just being him made such a strong case against him. It was ridiculous. Like
Hmm.
all the descriptions of him were short and unfortunate looking. It's like literally one of the terms I read. He was unfortunate looking.
I
Like
never
he,
I can be handled be called ugly. Just don't call me unfortunate. Jesus.
yeah. No, he did a lot of weird things, and he eventually got arrested and put on trial for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But he was what was it? Was he acquitted? I can't remember now.
yeah, both trials he was acquitted.
Hmm. Then of
The
course there's
first one, the first
guy
one was a
that
hung
oh
jury. Yeah. No, go ahead.
yeah, and then there was the guy that of course, confessed to it, but he was arrested in a different town on vagrancy. So
Yep.
it's just like, why on earth would you confess to something like that? You never that,
Well, well, to be fair, they used well, enhanced interrogation techniques were a lot more common 110 years ago because at the time policing wasn't. There were police forces, but most of the time it was an angry mob that caught you and handed you over to the police force if you survived long enough with the angry mob.
we could definitely use some of that today. I'm just saying.
But yeah, no, George Kelly admitted to it and later recanted too. Then there was oh yeah, Frank Jones. He was a state senator that they accused.
Well,
Yeah,
you know.
that was the guy that the Moore father had apprenticed under and had split off. Yeah, because yeah, Josiah Moore had worked at Frank's store for many years before leaving to open his own. So they're like, there's got to be some animosity there.
Well, yeah, he's the one
Uh,
that. Wait, wasn't he the one that would worked with Moore and he had the John Deere name, and then when he left, he took the John Deere name with him. So
Yeah, I don't know.
don't quote me on that one.
Oh, basically, he opened up a competing John Deere place, and he got more business.
There it is.
So yeah, so everybody's like, okay, Frank must be mad about the loss of business. Frank was a state senator at that point. But also, supposedly Moore was Josiah was supposedly having an affair with Frank Jones's daughter-in-law too.
Yeah, I heard about that too.
But there was no evidence that was happening, and there was no evidence that he had a grudge against Moore after the split.
Mhm.
That was a very common thing back then. But it dragged on long enough that it cost him his seat in the state senate. Nobody, for some
That's
reason, nobody wants to
right.
murder her. Yep.
Yeah, I don't
Nobody
know
wants to
why.
murder her.
Yeah, it'd be a lot better than what we have now. Anyway,
Yeah.
but you have any more information on the crime?
Let's see here. Well,
Because
as
we can
with
get
anything,
spooky.
okay, yeah.
No, go ahead.
No. I have a couple more things to add, and then we'll get spooky, and then I have a tangent that's adjacent to the whole thing.
Sure.
I pursued this less spooky angle of it, assuming that you probably would pursue some kind of spooky angle. But there was a lot of odd things about it. Like, it was a small town, is 2,500 people at the time. The house was right next to the train tracks, which is important, which is the theory that the guy hopped the train as soon as it happened. Those who believe that it was a vagrant or transient, whereas everybody else like, oh, probably local, gonna bring home the bacon.
But he didn't bring home the bacon. He left it there.
Yes,
For a
he did.
masturbatory aid.
Yeah, after doing horrible things to some of the people in the house.
Well, all the bodies were untouched except for one, and even then it said like, yeah.
Yeah, well, officially the guy the doctor who looked at the body afterwards to determine if there was any action that happened officially said no. Unofficially said that he wasn't going to say yes, but on the papers, but yes, something happened.
Well, underwear was removed and thrown under the bed. And, yeah.
And used to wipe off the handle of the axe.
Yeah.
And, yeah, she was the only one that was posed, other than like he obviously covered all their faces with like sheets and stuff, covered all the windows, all that stuff. But she was the only one that had her underwear removed and was posed. And she was in the room with the bacon and the axe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I hate this all of a sudden. I hate this. So,
Oh,
hey, listen, we're talking about the haunted White House now. Abraham Lincoln.
No, it goes so much darker. Please tell me spooky stuff so we can get off this dark for the moment.
All right, well, have you ever heard, well, we're going to talk about maybe some of the ghosts and everything. I'll get into, I don't know where I want to start really, but we can start about like some of the ghosts nowadays. Well, for one, the house was almost like condemned in like 1998 or something like that until new owners came in and they restored it to its former glory.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen the videos where it's like, oh, yeah, it's all era appropriate, like furniture and fixtures.
And just why? Because like I haven't found anything like about any hauntings or spooky stuff while it was being like condemned and stuff like that. It's what after it returned to its former glory.
Yep.
All the spooky stuff started happening again. So like you can actually go and stay a night there. Pay a fee and you can stay a night where children were brutally killed by the blunt end of an axe.
Yeah,
who wouldn't want to go?
Yeah, I think there's a daytime tour, and I think the overnights are like $400 per stay or something. But you have to plan that in ahead.
Yeah. Ghost hunters, I guess. But you know what?
There's a lot of videos about people staying there, so yes, they're definitely making a mint off that.
But like, here's one of my problems here. Like ghosts are always like trapped in the moment of their death. So we well, not always, but
Yeah.
So like none of the children could have screamed. And yet, if you stay there, you will hear children screaming. What's even creepier is sometimes you'll hear children laughing. What the fuck?
Well, okay. That brings into the whole premise of what is a ghost really. I don't necessarily think that if there are ghosts that they're necessarily all stuck in the moment of their murder.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe it is possible that there's that one weirdo kid that's just laughing as everybody's getting axed in the house. I don't buy into that at all, though.
Well, that's just it. Okay, like nobody woke up. There was no noise made. Why on earth would you hear screaming? What you actually would hear somebody, and most of all, laughing.
Yeah. There's definitely I've saw a couple of videos there where people are reported like things like they get the spirit box in there. Spirit box is like, I killed 6 kids. It's like
Spirit boxes. You always hear what you want to hear. I can guarantee you. It's like that. What was it? That you Thunderwave, you red puppy. You know that whatever the hell that is, where you listen to it and you concentrate on the word and whatever word you.
Yep.
Yeah.
You hear what you kind of
Yeah.
first are exposed to predetermined to hear.
There,
Yeah,
I just exposed spirit boxes. Sometimes while you're sleeping though, and I don't know why. Why on earth would ghost children want to do this? Why would anybody want to do this? Sometimes they'll prick your toes.
Okay. 10 out of 10. Believe that's probably the owner creeping in there, crawling on all fours. I've heard of weirder things. I mean, okay, not everybody hates feet like you do. I mean, I'm not a fan of them, but some
You
people
better
like to
not
play
be.
with feet, man.
No, they don't. Sicker than axe murderers, man. Sicker than axe murderers.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but it's
But
a
yeah,
thing.
I don't understand like the pricking of the toes, like why the children would be. Oh, I'm gonna. Like, I mean, what does that have to do anything with the murder?
It doesn't have anything to do with the murder, but I guess if we're gonna buy into the idea that there's a ghost or energy there, it's historically, like, not historically, but as far as like every oral history that suggests that there's been some kind of thing, they like to play with the parts of you that are first away from your face. They like to fuck with you in ways that touch you in random spots where So feet is a pretty common place to get touched or pulled or have your big toe pulled or something.
And it's not a common place.
Hey, in ghost encounters, it is.
Ghosts are weird, man.
Yeah, no, ghosts are perverts, man. I mean, straight up believe that.
So I die. I discover there's an afterlife. I go to hell. Satan is just like, you gotta go touch feet. I'm just like, I'm in fucking hell. No, just burn my soul for all eternity, please.
Well, I mean, that is your own personalized hell, so that's probably the worst thing he could do to you.
There might be something worse. I don't think there is, though. Then, of course, there's like the usual items being thrown across rooms. And if you look on YouTube, I can't remember the name of it. They have a bunch of excellent videos. They say the night. I can't remember the name of them. I think most of them were completely fake. There's some that I'm just like, I bet you if I slow that down, I can see the wire.
Yeah.
But doors being slammed shut, like all the usual hauntings and stuff like that. Yeah. Creaking of floorboards, of course, which nobody heard when the actual axe murderer was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got a lot to do with the children, of course, with the laughing and screaming and all that. But then there's also one shadowy figure that if you wake up in the middle of the night, he'll appear at the foot of your bed holding an axe. That's right. The murderer got away scot-free. Maybe went on more serial killings.
Yep.
And decided to come back to this particular house. None of the other ones. None of the.
Sounds legit, man. Sounds totally plausible. Exactly the kind of thing I'd do. Come back from the dead after successfully getting away with murder, and haunt the one place where I probably should be staying away from.
Yeah, exactly. It's just literally like what if one day you forget to turn on your shadow mode, and you're just standing there like dum-de-dum-de-dum-de-dum. Oh shit!
Well, I mean, depending on who the killer was there, he might have been unfortunate looking. Anyway, so maybe he really is just maybe he doesn't have the shadow mode. It's just that unfortunate that all people see is a shadow.
Well, that would be more of like an unremarkable person, because then you wouldn't just, your brain wouldn't just take in the features. But if somebody's unfortunate looking, I'm going to remember that motherfucker.
Fair.
Unfortunate looking.
Yeah, no, like I laughed way harder than I should have when I heard that one. And then it kept popping up because that was how people described him back then. So a lot of articles and stuff I read on it said he was described as unfortunate looking. It's like, ooh, that burns.
And that's also hilarious.
It really was.
Maybe he's so angry because he's ugly.
Yeah, short and ugly.
And left-handed.
Short, ugly, and left-handed. I mean, those are three things that are going right against Reverend Kelly right there.
Was Reverend Kelly left-handed?
I believe he was. Like, that was one of the things, like, the whole thing was hinged upon. Because they knew the left-handed... They claimed that they knew the left-handed thing almost immediately. And George Kelly was a hard, thing. They might have speculated he was left-handed. I don't see it referenced, but I'm pretty sure, they focused on him for so long there, he had to have been left-handed.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they put him in trial, they arrested him 5 years after the fact. So, they clearly thought something was up with him. Yeah. These murders are weird.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, no.
So there's been 2 cases of my cat is trying, just like you're streaming. I must sing the song of my people. Wants attention so bad, it's driving me nuts. They're not allowed in the bedroom. They know that.
Yeah.
But they hear me. Where was I? Oh yeah. There's been 2 cases of people self-mutilating, self-harm is what they keep saying. Self-harm to themselves. Now, I don't know about
in the
both.
House.
In the house. Now, I don't know about the other case, but one case, reportedly, the guy heard a whisper in his ear.
Yep.
And it was from, let's get biblical, it's Sunday, everybody, break out your Bibles, from the demon Legion. Of course, if you don't know Legion, pick up your Bible. Let's go to page, what is it, Matthew or something? I don't know. Legion is a demon.
Men are many.
Yep. Legion was a demon who possessed a man, and then Jesus Christ came along, and he was just like, you can't save this man. Well, yeah, I can get you out. The power of Christ compels you. And so Legion jumped into a bunch of pigs, went to drown all of the pigs, and said, you can't save us all. I'm just like, yeah, Legion! Bacon! 5 pounds of bacon.
I was going to say, it all circles around, man.
There might be something there.
Wow. Yes.
So it's also just like, how is he so silent? Was it a supernatural? How was the axe murder so silent? Was it a supernatural entity such as Legion?
Yeah. See, I've been thinking about that too, and I figure, we're talking a time pretty widespread electricity in towns and stuff, so probably you learn to ignore a lot of noises at night.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it's going to be definitely silent of all the things that we know at night now. Like, it's not like right now, if like the power goes out, we're going to feel weird because we don't hear anything. It's like that's the norm. So you kind of rule out things if you're
Yes.
not hearing screaming. I mean, you're probably not too worried about it. The little kids there, like I could,
Well,
like
that's just it. They're all children between the ages of like what, 5 and 12 or 8 and 12.
yeah,
They hear something at night, they're waking up. That's just what children do.
yeah, but they can also sleep through anything, dude. Children can sleep through almost anything.
When they're having a sleepover, no. On a school night too, I might add.
Yeah, but no, like that's all I can figure is like that we're talking about a completely different time that's completely unknown to us. Um, Normal farm noises, creaking is all you're going to hear. You're going to hear that all the time, and you're probably used to hearing your parents go at it in the bedroom. So maybe some huffing and puffing up there is not going to surprise you. I mean,
What
this is a
kind of
dead silent.
household did you live in?
No, this is my point. 100 years ago, there's no sound, no electricity, no buzz. It's going to be dead silent. You're going to hear, unless like you have a reason to be concerned about the noise, you're not going to be too worried about it. And the kids, I think, probably slept through it because the way it's read and been explained is the killer most likely went through and finished off everybody quickly, and then went back and took his time to do what he wanted afterwards. You know, crashing those heads in further afterwards.
Yeah, make a meal and all that. It's bacon, man.
Yeah.
Bacon's bothering me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I watched a video where the first, like one of the first videos I watched there, the guy addressed the bacon and like he could not accept the fear official theory for what the bacon was for. He went through every denial he possibly could. He's like, no, the father probably just cut a slab of bacon off and left it with the girls, sent it home with them the next day. It's like,
yeah, that's.
like that makes so much. No, it doesn't. Like
Why would he do it like that? Yeah.
And he went after it over and over, and he's like, it was wrapped in a sack and then tied. You don't tie something with a string if you're going to use it for self pleasuring. It's like, oh, you protest too much. Like you just do not want to see bacon sullied.
I don't want to see bacon sullied.
Me neither, but I'm sorry. There's not a lot of good explanation as to any other reason it could be there.
Well, there's a lot of things that have like no explanation. Like once again, like the prepared meal that he didn't touch.
Yep.
He might have been interrupted, maybe, but
yep.
Why would you still be there at sunup? You know, what was the plan? Cover all the windows. Nobody will know I'm here. I can live here forever. We are Legion.
No, probably. Okay. Well, the covered in the windows, he probably did that so that he could walk around the house with like a candle or lantern, because the lantern was found, without anybody else like in the neighborhood knowing he's in the house. I mean, probably nobody's going to be up at midnight looking out the window, but if they do, they're not going to see a lantern flipping around through all the different things, you know?
But why not just kill and go?
Because he had other business with the bacon.
He could have taken the bacon with him.
Not for what he wanted it for.
I hate this conversation again.
I do too, but like, it was in everything. Like once you start looking beneath it, like there's definitely a very sexually drawn component to like the murders. Yeah. Yeah, it was not a comfortable read. And because
you know what? I never even like everything I listened to there. They didn't connect like the bacon to like anything, you know.
Yep.
And I was
Thing is,
perfectly fine with the bacon there until you brought it up. Now I'm just horrified.
the thing is, that's been the official theory since like immediately after murders. They're like, why is this bacon here? And like they asked the first, like one of the first people they asked was a prison warden. He's like, oh, that's for masturbation. And
I hate this.
like, yeah, no, he he probably killed everybody with one stroke because I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot. You know, 100 years ago, you're in better shape than the average person today. You collapse in their head with one string of the axe, make
Mm.
sure everybody's dead, go back up, collapse it in more because you're particularly angry at this time. I don't know. Go cut off a slab of bacon, tie it up, do your thing, and then make yourself a meal. And then time gets away
And
from you,
then
and
knock
suddenly
on the
it's
door.
yeah, I was gonna say time gets away from you, and suddenly it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. You hear the neighbor outside rustling around with her stuff, and so at that point, like crap, you run, you lock up the door, and disappear. Or, or if he hopped on the train there, it could be that this happened middle of the night there, and he wanted to make sure he get on the train. He heard
Fair
because
enough.
we're 110 years ago. Again, there's not nearly as much noise. If you've ever lived next to train tracks, even today you can hear those trains coming from 10 or 15 minutes away.
Yeah, like I'm literally like probably about 6 or 7 blocks away.
Yeah,
Well, town blocks, so it's like 4 houses per block, and
yeah.
and I can hear that. I can hear a train coming from brick
Oh yeah,
miles away.
I lived next to the train tracks for many years, and like 20 minutes ahead of time the train's coming because there's a
Mm-hmm.
different it's not even a noise at that point. It's just a feel about the atmosphere. It's this low rumble, and then it takes you 10 minutes to realize, oh, that's a train. But you always hear it. So one of the prevailing theories I got is if we exclude the idea that this guy might have been a local, which I'm willing to do because if he was a local, he probably would have not needed to make himself a meal and all that other stuff. You know, he's in
Yeah,
transit.
good.
He he hopped in town on a train. He wants to hop back out same night if possible. Maybe a day after he gets in on a train. He wants to hop out before anybody finds the bodies. He makes himself a meal. But this is a small town. There's 4 or 5 trains to come through a day, but you don't know when the next one's going to be. So when he hears the train, he abandons his meal, locks up, and runs to the train.
Well, that could be it too. But why wouldn't you take it with you? You know.
It's gonna okay. A guy in the middle of the night running around with a sack full of food is going to look a little more suspicious, and
As
probably a
compared
little
to a
bit.
guy running
Uh,
around that's probably blood soaked.
Actually, he probably had clothes stashed somewhere. It's like, I mean, okay, now we're getting into the fringe, like the
Yeah.
fringe theory that I focused on is like this guy is probably a serial killer who was murdering people and from 1898 to 1912 via train. There was a ridiculous hike in murders with axes during that time period. Starting with like a couple year to it peaked around 1911 and 1912, but at the same time they had the 1906 to 12 there. They had a lot of them. Some of them are definitely not related. Like there's the Axeman of Louisiana,
Yeah.
right in New Orleans. That probably wasn't the same guy. He didn't meet the same MOs and stuff. But the man, the one there with I'm thinking he's connected to the one that had the connected in the book there by Bill James and his daughter. It suggests this guy would ride around on the rail system. He would hop off in small towns, particularly small towns. He would prefer to pick places that had 2 or more conversion rail tracks in the there are 2 tracks converging, crossing ways so that it doubles the chance of having a train come through.
Uh-huh.
Pick
Smart.
pick a yeah, pick a family. Pick a family that doesn't have a dog that had most of them had barns that you could hide in to find out what the family's doing, how the family operates.
Mm-hmm.
And like all of them, pretty much all of them had axes outside or easily accessible for him to grab, murder, and leave. And I personally believe that this is the tail end of that serial murder, his career there is the um, Villisca murders are at the tail end of his career there, and
So
he was very polished.
you think that was his swan song, his finale, and he decided to go all out with the bacon?
No,
Because
because
like,
that can
where's bacon been found anywhere else?
um first bacon probably honestly though, like the other axe murders that are connected to this, they all had a lot of similarities that were really disturbing. Like and basic, like all of them were small towns, except for when he is a guy screwed up and landed in San Antonio. Didn't realize that there was a medium-sized town in that, like over the hill, and killed the family on the edge of town. That's the one mistake he made there, as far as like not only killing small towns. Most of them were like all the trains were within five, the maximum of 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
walking from the houses. Most of them were converging with two or more tracks. All the murders were with blunt sides of axes. They were all found on property. Most of them were families. There was only one that the book suggested was him, but they were sure of it. But there wasn't a children involved. It was just a older couple that
Yeah.
he ended up killing. But all the other ones, they were families with young children, usually young female children, and the entire family be murdered. And there's a 14 that they linked that they're quite sure of, and then just incidences, which is like 50 something bodies, and it just goes from there. It's ridiculous.
Well, I definitely
Um,
think that's a fantastic theory, really, because like, I mean, like, no one's ever been caught.
and yeah, and they actually went
Like,
through and they looked at all the murders from that time period. And they only attributed 14 they were sure of to him out of like 40 or 50 that they looked at for the time period. They tried to
only
track down.
14.
Well, no, they tried to track down the murders of every family they could find between 1890 and like 1920.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a spike of family murders with axes during like that time period. And they actually brought up a really good theory and hypothesis as who they think this guy was. They think he was actually a German immigrant who spent time up in New England, and in 1898 he was working basically as a farmhand for a guy, and that they had some kind of disagreement. The family ended up dead, and he ended up disappearing. And they
What
think
was
that was
the weapon?
an axe. And his name was Mueller. 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 I
Oh
can't find
yes,
his first.
Mueller. Hans
He was
Mueller. It wasn't Hans.
he was probably German or Austrian, and his name was Mueller. And like he started, he was also a short, stocky man that was left-handed.
But why was he a cyborg? I know, right?
But yeah,
Sorry,
no, he
Ultimate
started.
Helsing abridged.
Yeah, but no, he started his murder spree then, and then like slowly like built up and got slightly better at what he was doing. And he was about 35 at that point. Yeah, they keep saying his last name, but they don't say his first name here. But yeah, no, they
Mueller.
uh,
Mueller.
yeah, that's
Mueller.
literally what it says after. I'm sure it says at the very beginning somewheres, but um, like so they did a lot of look into it, and he followed like he essentially, after he murdered his first family he was working with, he essentially hopped on a train and disappeared. And
Well, it seems to
then
be checking a lot of boxes. Tell you that much.
yeah, and then it started continuing throughout the entire like that's when the axe murders with the blunt end of axes, with a child involved and a family and all this stuff started happening until about 1912, which I believe the Moore family at Villisca was the last family done to him. Now, the thing is, like, you can track this guy's progression as a better and better killer. The very first
A
murders there, he
better
just
and better killer. That's A frightening thought.
He got better. Like at the very beginning, he tried burning down the houses and stuff. Not so successfully in some cases. Then after a while, he was just leaving. Like he started picking up the axes in by the house and leaving them. And then eventually, he got smart enough to realize that they're talking about fingerprints now. I better wipe off these axes as I use them. And then the theory in the book that's presented is that by 1912, after 14 years of doing this as his, I don't know, not side gig, because I mean that's basically all he did was travel around the country by train and murder families every couple months to few weeks. He killed a lot of them.
Supposedly.
Supposedly. So they think that around that time period, he's been paying attention to the murders and keeping forensics so he could get better and better. And around 1912, there he decided that because serial killers don't usually stop unless they're caught or killed.
Yeah.
Rare instances they'll get one at. It's like, okay, I've had enough, and goes into a period of inactivity, which that still almost never completely ends. Like Dennis Rader, BTK there, he stopped killing as he got older, but then he still would mock police.
Yeah.
But they think that this guy, Mueller there, like he started when he was 35 in the 1890s. So by 1912 he was in his around 50. He's starting to get a little older.
I'm about to collect that serial killer pension check,
Yeah. They think that he realizing that he was getting older and that the not forensics but crime solving was getting better, that he should probably flee while he had the chance, and he probably went back to Germany or Austria. And they actually think that there's this a very infamous family murder in Germany that they can attribute to him, that marked all the same markers that would have happened right after he went back to Germany.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Had to get in one more, didn't you? Or, back in my day, I used to be able to kill an entire family. You don't believe me? I'll go do it, you sons of bitches. I'm just going to go.
Yeah. The hint. Oh gosh, I can't pronounce that word. Hinterkaifeck murders in 1922 in a Bavarian farmstead outside of Munich. Six people in the household. It was 5 of the household, and then they had a maid, were killed. And it's like the most famous mass killing in Germany.
I wouldn't say the most famous mass killing in Germany.
For that time period, and actually in Germany.
Wait another 20 years.
But yeah. Yeah. The guy killed an entire family. It was parents, a daughter, a middle-aged daughter, and her 2 kids, as well as their maid. Now, this is one that you probably heard of in the past if you've looked into any weird murders. Is a German farmstead, family goes missing. The first maid leaves because she thinks the place is haunted, and then right after the second maid gets there, nobody hears from the family for a couple weeks, and then they finally go looking, and the entire family has been killed, and it looks like somebody's been living in the house after the family is killed.
I have heard about that. The pigs or the livestock was fed, and this and that, and they saw smoke in the chimney.
Yeah, neighbors started smoking in the chimney. Yeah,
we'll definitely have to cover that one some other day.
They think that one is connected to the man on the train, which was the axe murderer that potential serial killer ran around the country.
I'm seeing the connections. That's weird.
Honestly, I just like I said, I knew you were gonna hit the spooky aspect, so I started going from the more sciencey, logical aspect, and once I started going down this rabbit hole, there's just so many things that connects the Villisca murders. I want to keep calling it Basilica. The Villisca murders.
See?
Yes. The Villisca murders to all these other murders. okay, yes, there's a lot of murders that happened at the time. A lot of them were for axes because axes were a weapon of opportunity. Every
Yeah.
home had them. Every home usually left them out because it's a tool. You leave it outside, it's going to chop wood. So, yes, there's a lot of axe murders at that point in time, but you start getting into ones that have a coalescence of
Yeah.
variables, and boom, you have a pretty strong argument that this was the near the end of a long line of axe murders.
Well, it's just like, okay, the unfinished meal, and then you're talking about the one in Germany where it's just like the dude lived there, and just like, seriously, some kind of psychosis maybe, where he's just like, I kill people, I own home.
Well, you have to figure at this point
If it's the same guy.
Yeah, he's been a vagrant for 20 something years.
Mm-hmm.
He's learned how to do that. So I mean, it's a rural farmstead, and nobody's going to come looking immediately. Take your time, figure out what you're doing next. Yeah, no, like it was a crazy rabbit hole. Like, wow, I was not expecting that when I first looked into it. I'd heard of the Villisca murders vaguely, and then it was a whole deep dive from there. I'm like, wow.
Well, I've heard about the murders before, but I never really looked much into the ghosts or anything of it. And it's the children laughing part. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Even if even me, if I was to stay there at night, okay, children are screaming. There's the axe man at the shadowy figure at the head of my bed. Oh, Legion's talking to me. Second I hear children laugh, I'm getting the fuck out of there.
No, I watched a bunch of those videos too. Like a lot of them, like the doors are starting to swing around when there's no wind and stuff like that. And
yeah, like all the typical haunting stuff of stuff being thrown and moved, and people being just like touched.
I thought the BuzzFeed Unsolved one was particularly funny to watch.
I had never watched that one. I'll have to check that out.
Oh yeah, because it's they have the two main demographics involved in it. The I want to believe demographic, and this is a joke demographic. So it's the two guys going in there, and one of them's like, "This is just a joke," and the other one's like, "Please don't say that too loudly. The ghosts will want to kill me."
That's gonna be me and you one of these days, man. I'll be like, this is a joke, and you'll be like, oh, the ghosts, ghost, zoinks.
I'm not too worried about ghosts killing me. I figure if it was gonna happen, it would have happened by now.
They're just waiting for you with a with an axe and a 5-pounder of bacon, man.
Yeah. No, that made bacon hard to eat, man. I will say that.
I've never eaten salty bacon again. I'll tell you that much.
A little too much salt.
Yeah. But we should probably be wrapping things up. I got 2 things on the docket. We're actually going to announce our next episode, but I just got you can deliver it. You can deliver the parcel. Ow. Asshole. I just got myself a parcel.
Oh my.
It's like an unboxing. And this is actually my second copy of the book that you have back there.
Oh, wow.
This is Owen's Girl. It's written by Trekk. Right there, A.G. Hopkins. It's highly recommended. This is actually my second copy because I was taking my other copy, like I'd read it on my breaks and at work and stuff. And it's in my Jeep somewhere. So I had to order another copy. And I was saving it to open it up here.
Uh-huh.
It's written by that guy right there. It's a great book. It's fantastic. It's a great afternoon read. Or if you're a slow reader and really want to get into something, a weekend read. You can pick it up on Amazon. It's fantastic. I highly recommend it.
Thanks, dog.
No problem. And secondly, we're actually going to announce our next episode. I know that's not going to happen too often, but that's figured after 30 years, I guess we should probably dive into the Power Rangers curse.
Oof, yeah. Definitely a lot to dive into there.
Yeah, go cursed Rangers. So that'll be next month sometime. My schedule is calming down. Will be calming down, so we might be able to do this more often. So, but for now, we're just gonna stick to once a month. Go read a good book off of Amazon while you wait. And thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah,
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Shut down, you bastard.